Hello everybody, it's vanburman here. Welcome back to another video. I'm staying on the same trend as the last video that I put on the channel, which is comparing the desktop performance to the SteamOS performance. So I had a look through some of your comments. I appreciate that very much. So effectively, I'm sort of chalking up the first one to like native Linux performance, and then we'll also test Rise of the Tomb Raider under the Proton compatibility layer. So basically what you're going to be using more often than not. And then also I've got Mango Hood up as well for the desktop version if you want to see that, because that will be in the footage also. And I had a few more like different settings that is available, through the Proton version rather than through the Linux native version, but the essence is that it's still basically the same in terms of it's running like a mix of very high and high. It's just the textures, I think, that are on high rather than very high. And then I've got a comparison video coming up where you can see both side by side, or top and bottom even, and then we'll have the results. So I'm going to do the same as I did last time. We're going to look at the geothermal valley results, because that's the only one that doesn't have a maximum over 60, and it does it paints the wrong picture necessarily, because as I said before, the SteamOS version is hard locked by GameScope at 60 FPS, whereas the desktop version isn't. So yeah, it'll look a bit different. Also had a little bit of difficulty with my recording today, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just the way it goes from time to time, unfortunately. So the TLDR, and we'll get on to the results very shortly, is that we're in the same situation that we're in last time out. There's about a frame and change difference between the two. And that is obviously just in this, stress it, that it's just in this one game with this one test scenario. And I'm sure there'll be differences in different games and at different settings, and whether it's really noticeable or not, I think is minor. Like I said, the only thing I can think of is if you're running an external higher refresh rate monitor, that might be a case for the desktop mode, because there's not too much difference. But realistically, I don't know what games you're going to play too much above. Well, there are some games I guess you can play above 60 FPS, but I don't necessarily know what you would want to. And then there you go, we have the scores. So we've got a 37.58 on the desktop and a 38.74 on SteamOS. Ran this 3 times as well. The results are very similar. It's about a frame, or like I say, a frame and change between the two. And then I've also just got the so that was the first run. This is the third run of each one after the other. So this is the desktop version, and as you can see, obviously it hits in the 70 FPS range, which obviously the Steam OS version won't. But it's been really good to have a look at this, because it sort of gives me a grounding for how the results will vary. And I think, for me it was, if I add games to my Steam Deck through the desktop and then play it through SteamOS, I play it on the desktop if I've got it docked, what kind of performance hit are we going to have? And at least in this example, if you want to play Rise of the Tomb Raider, that's the only one I can guarantee, is you're going to see pretty much identical performance. I would not notice 1 frame per second when playing in a game that already runs over 30 anyway. So yeah, and you can always drop the settings if you want to play this particular game. So I'm pretty impressed actually, and pretty happy that there's not too much difference between the two, between desktop and the SteamOS version. I did have a comment about CPU cores being disabled or threads, being disabled for desktop mode. That doesn't seem to be the case, because the usage looks very similar, as you'll be able to check for yourself. So as far as I'm concerned, you seem to get basically the full fat performance, just obviously with that overhead of the desktop, which is seemingly pretty minor. Now I think especially when you've got games that are going to be GPU bound anyway. So effectively you can do what you like, really. It sort of takes away from maybe the argument of or the preference, I guess, to run things through the SteamOS necessarily, like your emulators, like your GOG games, that sort of thing. Even though it makes it a lot easier, because then you can just launch it from your normal sort of like game mode, if you like, in the SteamOS. But yeah, I'm pleased for this so far. I would love to do a slew of games, testing one against the other. I don't think a sample size of one is good enough to draw any major conclusions, but I think it gives us a basis to do it. Hopefully someone else will go on and do a lot more in-depth testing. This isn't something that really butters my bread, so to speak. I think it's just a good indicator of how the Steam Deck performs. So I hope you enjoyed that one, everybody. I do have a bit of a spoiler. I've got another unsupported games on deck. Will they run video in the works? So stay tuned for that one. That'll be coming up at some point within the week. And yeah, let me know what you think, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.